There you go. Awesome.
Here we go. We're gonna be doing a fight commentary on a fight that we've already done last year, but it's very very cool because now we have the two participants of the fight here.
Yeah.
The infamous Matthew Dominguez. Remember the name, right?
What's up? What's up?
And I'm the other guy in the video that's going to be fighting. But joining us is Battle Master Eric Main.
What's up?
What's up, my dudes?
The Emperor Penguin. The Emperor Penguin Nick.
Go Penguins.
And my main man from StarBQ Podcast, Bode.
Thinking with my stomach, as always.
There we go. All right. So we're gonna I try to put together a supercut of the video here. So from one angle you'll see it, and then from another angle you'll see it. But we have a couple of like not really instant replay, but slow-mo on every point that
Nice.
we've done. And this is of course amateur film manipulation on my part, so I apologize if it looks wacky or wonky.
No one will judge you.
Yeah,
Shiny, glowy sticks. We're all good.
Just
right. Always training, always judging. Here we go. So, SMAF, SMA Foundation, with my this is my poor man's logo manipulation.
Beautiful.
Mwah.
I like it.
Right.
Gorgeous.
A couple of things before this, though. We have a little bit of time before we actually start fighting. Matthew and I did agree to not thrust at each other in this and go a little bit more Eskrima, Kali, a little bit Chinese broadsword on my part. And then, of course, as soon as we started fighting, I realized that I suck at all that. So I just started a fight normally, and
yeah,
put some extra little flourishes and tidbits in it. So
tidbits and then stab at the end.
Yeah,
Threw
right.
out the whole promise entirely.
Right.
That's cool. That's awesome.
Well, what's beautiful about it is as we start to fight here, we're just kind of swirling the sabers around.
Right.
Real
right.
mobile at first.
Yep. And as soon as we started fighting, I pierce and then I flick, and I was like,
Yep.
that's not really a thrust, but I guess
technicality, semantics, you're fine.
right. And that's me explaining, hey, I got you with this side, right?
It's funny. I wasn't mad at any point. I was a little confused. I was like, well, you came to apologize. And I was like, oh no, you're fine. It's whatever. But I laughed a little bit. I was like, oh my goodness,
Yeah.
it's a mess of a final.
I love it.
I
And
thought that was a
Matthew
block
going,
at
well,
first.
I can do that too. Very, very much love tap right to the eyeball of my mask.
Mm-hmm.
Matthew, correct me if I'm wrong. You don't traditionally have a very thrust-heavy style anyway, do you?
That is completely wrong. It's completely wrong. Also, I want to really highlight, I love the strike here with both of us.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. But yeah, that's actually how I got my feet wet when it came to saber fighting, was just doing very fundamental fencing techniques. Anyone who's seen me fight in the beginning can attest that was kind of like, my beginner's kind of competitive style was just basic fundamental fencing, just poke, thrust, distance, spacing, blah, 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 blah. You see how it goes.
I can attest to this, yes.
Yes. Ooh,
The reason I say that is
That was
because
beautiful.
that
yes.
strike right there, that's the kind of strike I'm used to seeing you score with in the fights I've seen you.
So yeah, that it can a lot of avenues and answers to that, but I can say that I really love the concept of traditional Olympic fencing. I kind of take it to heart a lot of the times, and then I kind of twist it on its head, strangle it a little bit, and say, "Hey, listen, if I space properly, I can do 3 backflips and like a quarter circle turn as long as I timed it well." So
That was a beautiful slap to the wrist, by the way.
oh yeah, no problem. Hey,
Yeah.
there's one hand less to fight with, boop.
Beautiful strike.
Yep.
Yeah.
Go in there. I will say though, it was kind of a little ambitious. I saw your strike coming in. I was like, well, just gotta.
Let's try it.
Let's try it. I'll be dead, but he lost a hand. So.
Yeah.
Oh.
All right. So here's the funny thing. That was a gorgeous strike.
Yeah, that's pretty.
So, some people know this, some people don't. I kind of was like, not parading around for obvious reasons, but a couple of days before this match, I was in Hawaii, as some people know, and while I was there, I actually injured, I think my left knee, I believe.
The one I just hit?
Yeah, the one that you just hit. Yeah, everyone. Yeah, the one that you tried to hit again just now. I remember distinctly in the crowd. I remember everyone in the crowd going, "Oh no!" Because I'm pretty sure Katie, Serena, and Shasta were the one that like kind of bandaged it up before the tournament. But when they saw that leg hit, everyone's like, "Uh-oh." But
one of those feels bad moments.
I brought that up because you're gonna see it a lot. Actually, you already saw a lot in the beginning. Also, by the way, that move, you do that a lot to me.
I do.
And every time you do it, it's such a mix of emotions, mostly depression. But the other ones is happiness. I'm like, wow, what an amazing strike. I do a little leg tap with my blade. I'm like, you know what? Good on you.
Yeah.
That's one of the best things about saber fighting in general is those moments where you get hit and you have that moment of like, oh crap, that was my fault. But then you're like, but man, it looked good when it happened.
Yeah, Alan puts the work. You got to give it the respect. You go home with tears, but can it's beautiful.
What's beautiful is like, I come in with this crazy technical strike trying to get you, and then you just tap me in the shoulder.
Yeah. I'm like, damn it. It goes back to, it just touches the body. Get back to the
more martial arts you know, the
fundamentals.
easier strikes you get hit with.
What's fun is also listening to the commentary on the live stream during this fight. It's just really funny because this fight actually only lasts about 5.5 minutes.
Yeah, I remember. I was such a blur, and honestly, I don't know. I feel like it was an excellent fight.
This is why I wanted two different angles, because you couldn't really see it on that one, but when we go to the next angle here, you can see whoop.
Yeah, I'm gonna say I was. Yeah, it looked real close.
Yeah, it's a game of inches, right?
Oh yeah,
indeed.
It's so fun.
And Nick, how was this to judge? Like, this is a very fast match.
I hated it. I let it be known. I detest reffing. I hate reffing so much. In fencing, in lightsaber, it doesn't matter. I hate it. But goddamn, I hated this more.
Look at it.
It's so fast. And when the rules are just whoever hits first, like those matter of centimeters by missing, to us it looks like it's hitting. You don't really know until you replay this shit, and then you're like, oh fuck, that missed by a half an inch. Like,
absolutely, you have to like.
So frustrating.
You have to use your ears just as much as your eyes with
big
this
time
kind of fight.
Granted, they are both very honorable fighters. Like, I believe
nice.
multiple times they said, like, no, you're an idiot. He hit me first. Like, they're extremely honorable guys.
There's a taste of my own medicine from Alan. He saw me do the cool spinny stuff. He's like, okay, let's move on. On to the next.
That was a fun point.
What?
Oh, look at that.
Another slide. Oh, he gets you with the tip, though, huh?
Yep. Another really ambitious, cocky moves. Like, you know what? I'm going to see if I could swing to the left.
You know what, though? That's like, to me, like, that's form for, like, bread and butter right there. Take your slash, turn it into a stab.
Yeah.
It is. Actually, yeah.
It's
me with my my wacky arm in the air and my half cape.
That's all good.
I love it.
It looks really good with that cape. Yeah.
I think you really
awesome.
You rock the cape. Honestly, you make it work.
Oh,
you got a real Richelieu D'Artagnan thing.
Oh, I remember that. A little body bump.
Yeah, you'll see it from this. I'm like, and overcommitted.
I like how before like each encounter, you guys do a little bit of like play with distance in the neutral zone. You're both like throwing it out there and testing range. I love that. You don't get a lot of that in fencing, unfortunately, but in lightsaber you get that so much, and it's so fun. And of course, there's a perfect example of that not happening.
Yeah.
Nick, we never do that. You are lying. There is no visual.
That was a close point there.
Yeah, I did a little freeze frame on that one so you could see like 1,000th of a second was actually like.
What's the difference? Crap. Yeah. I love how Darth Maul's just watching over us in the background.
I forgot about that. Yeah.
I still have the picture of you awkwardly drawing that on the board. Katie had it somewhere. Dang! So that
hit your hand?
No, it didn't. It definitely hit the blade first.
It did. Okay.
Yeah.
From this angle, you can see.
Yeah.
It was wild. I think you guys called it properly too, which is cool.
Oh man, I was gonna say I disagree with my call then if it hit his hand.
Yeah, it totally hit the blade
watching
too.
it in slow motion, like initially when it first happened, I was like, "Oh, Matthew got that point," and then when you slowed it down like that, like it really is like no time that separates the point.
So it's 9-9. It's first to 10.
Oh,
and I just said I want Matthew to win, so I can see the point. So
for the record,
in remembrance of Captain Steve Kirk. And but the one thing I did want to do is have one more point, and so we decided to do it. At this point, Matthew has no idea what's going on.
No clue. No clue. That's exactly what I was going to say. No idea. This right here. I was like, oh my goodness, he's gonna do the thing, isn't he? Does the thing.
That's the kind of point that I live for, though. Like, where that head's just sitting there, and you, boom, blade hits the head. But still, like your motion to block up high like that, was a great instinct.
Here's the thing. Alan has pulled that off on me every time, and it's worked. out of the 10 times, it's worked every time. And so the frustrating part was, I was like, well, as soon as he took the stance, I said, "Easy, this is my point. Watch me," and then just happens every time, and every time can't.
Well, the beauty of that is in Iaido, right? You have your sword in your scabbard, and you actually time it to where your opponent blinks, and as your opponent blinks is when you pull your sword.
That's the cool.
And you step forward twice. Most of the Iaido practitioners step forward once, but my teacher taught me to step twice to create even more of a threat distance.
That's the sickest thing.
Yeah, I was going to say that all sounds really cool coming out of your mouth.
It's really cool.
It's pretty refreshing to see that move done correctly. Because every time you see anyone else do that, it's like, oh boy.
I love how Alan just read my blank through my mask. That's how you know it's dangerous.
Well, in that particular case, now I've looked at this fight a lot over the past couple of days trying to put this together. So when I actually looked at that point, I was like, wow, I somehow, some way read that his saber was going down a half second before I threw the attack. And so in that half second is when I threw the strike.
Almost like he was chambering his block.
Yeah. And I was like, well, I know how fast Matthew is, so I have to take this.
You have to be faster.
You got to do it right now.
Yeah.
Well, it was an excellent read.
Well, thanks.
Yeah.
And that was kind of my point earlier when I was saying, oh, Matthew doesn't seem to have a thrust-heavy style, which, it's just perception. It's not obviously the truth if that's what you're saying. But point being, like, I'm used to watching you swing fast. And I'm used to that blade really, like, creating an arc when you fight.
Right.
But, again, like, those little moments where you take your slash, turn them into a stab, or vice versa, those are, like, that's kind of where the subtlety of your stabs come in.
So I really wanted to bring that up real quick, and you'll see it a lot in the beginning of the matches here. And it does have to do with both the promise Alan and I made at the beginning and the aforementioned slight knee injury.
That's a great point right there.
Yeah, little bend blade. I think that's what you were talking about. But I was really thankful, Alan, that you came up to me and said that, not because I wanted to only make this showy for the final fight, but because I was like, thank God I do not have to go full beast mode against you, because I was so terrified the entire time. You're like, let's make this like a good fight, but let's throw some pizzazz in there. And I was like, yes, I can finally. I don't know. It's
that exchange is the perfect example too. The one we just watched.
A lot of the circular movements I was doing in the beginning and towards the middle of this fight, I focused it. Actually, I was doing it the entire tournament. Was a very slowed down, modified version of a Hulu Saka, which is a Dose Pares Eskrima kind of technique. It's a continuous defense. Imagine Sorisu with no blasters, basically. You're just throwing up blocks, throwing up positions. You can accelerate, decelerate to whatever situation it is. Unfortunately, sabers are pretty big. It's meant for, I don't know, a ton stick that's like, 28 inches long. So I with the little strength that I have, it has to slow down. And the one thing I've learned is never try something against someone who knows what they're doing. Because Alan, who clearly has the speed and the experience and has probably seen that a million times already, trying something out and playing a brand new game was fun, without a doubt. And I've learned a lot.
Yeah.
But as you clearly saw through the first couple exchanges, it was like, I don't know. Alan was like, okay, let's make quick work. What are you doing? Enough of the dance.
But beginning, when you have all the energy in the world and you have all the adrenaline going, right? You're like, all right, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. Well, that didn't work. Okay, how about this? No, that didn't
essentially.
work.
It was a mixture of like, I want to mix in my thrusts and my stabs, but my knee's killing me. And also I promised to not do that. So it's like, I'm not. This is no excuse, by the way. I'm not trying to say I'm holding back. I'm trying to say that it was very fun to kind of like pull out, a different way to fight. And I think I told Eric or someone else this before the fight. In general, I was like, you know what? I think I was having a great tournament overall because I deviated from a lot of go-to techniques.
That strike.
Yeah, but it was still an amazing match, regardless, because they were.
Yeah, absolutely. I live for these 9-9 matches.
Yeah,
I know, and that's what really brought the fun back full circle for me. I usually have fun anyway when I do these things, but like that was kind of the peak highlight, was playing a completely different game. Of course, there's also the fact that again, Alan and he knows what he's doing. I didn't, so please, there's a limit to where you should play with your food.
That's true. These are the best fights, though. When
absolutely.
You have absolute respect for your opponent, and you have the agreement to actually just try new stuff,
right?
Because there's plenty of times where you're just like, okay, well, this move works over and over and over again,
right?
So I'm just
spam that X button.
Yeah, exactly.
and it's the fact that we weren't doing crazy flips just to show off and look cool, and we weren't trying new stuff just to like play at each other. It was to the best of our ability, right? And in my opinion, I mean, you agree, And I think that's what makes it really cool, because you're starting to see all these actions not half-assed, right? It's like
both people start fighting better,
Yeah.
Well, it's stuff that. Would that work? See, that's the third time I tried that same move. It didn't work.
Down in that low stance.
Yeah.
Which, like, a lot of times, and Matthew's got the perfect counter for that low strike going to the head, but it's all a matter of, like, not even inches, like millimeters in that case.
Right. Well, in the infinite possibilities of things that could possibly happen with a specific strike, I mean, that if I didn't have my weight in the right place for this particular exchange here, that would have hit me 10 out of 10 times. But because my weight was in the right place, I could get out of there with a couple inches of clearance.
And recognizing that at the moment that it happens, that's where the experience comes into play.
Yes.
Yeah.
And there, I missed again by inches, and Matthew had his arm just out of reach. In order to get that point.
Those 9-9 fights, man, it's like, again, like on the one hand, you're like, man, I got hit 9 times. But then you're like, wait, but I hit him 9 times too. Like, there's
great.
Something real happening right now.
Yeah, what's fun is also hearing the sound, or if you could hear the sound in these fights, you could hear the audience reacting. In this fight, and it's great. I think that tells you a sign of a good fight is when the audience is involved and attentive, and you can see.
And largely, the audience of these things, they're not fighters themselves.
Right.
They're people who come to see people they know, or maybe they already had a fight and they're kind of out of the brain space. But
well, it's sometimes you see them in the background and their arms go up, like
or it gets really quiet and everyone's just kind of intently staring.
Right.
Look how I stopped my lunge with my back foot. That's how you know I was too scared to just lunge.
It's funny because I didn't notice that your knee was hurting until you said something. I did see a couple times where you'd like shake it out or tap it or something, but you're moving pretty well for a dude with a bum knee.
I had to pull out. Eric again, Eric can attest to this. This is probably one of the few fights where I had to pull out my lateral movement.
Yeah.
Where I started to not walk straight, and all my lunges and all my dashes required the back foot. And that was one of the things too. I went up to Eric and everyone. I was like, "That was crazy. You could use both feet when you fight." Who would have thought?
Yeah. Who would have thought? You can discover some pretty cool stuff when you're forced to.
I was like, it's pretty cool.
Oh, this exchange is just awesome.
Oh yeah.
We usually hate seeing stuff that's sort of simultaneous, and I think Alan, you get the point for this one. Is that correct?
Yeah. Well, you can even hear
if that wasn't as close to simultaneous as it gets without actually being simultaneous.
Yeah. Well,
and those are the kind of simo strikes that we don't mind, because a lot of times
we'll be like that we say. You guys even say that was simultaneous, wasn't it? No.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Everyone was so confused, but it was great. But I love this one. This was so cool.
That was good.
It's a slide.
It's a slide. I know.
I like how you pulled your saber out afterwards too, Alan. Almost like
it's like I know.
Cool anime pose.
I got him. No need to flex. I know what I'm about.
Believe it or not, a lot of that is I hope he doesn't fall on me. It just turned out to look really cool.
That's so true. Sometimes I'll be sparring with my students, or especially like with like Beat or someone who's a little more skillful, and like you just get those moments where you turn your head after you hit them, and they're like, "Why are you looking away? You hit me." It's like I just didn't want to run my eye through your lightsaber.
Right.
Well, guess what? The one time you didn't do that was the one time we actually collided. So Murphy's Law. This is how it is. Oh, goodness.
Even in slow motion, this is a fast
look
fight.
at that.
My ears were ringing a mile
it's
away.
so good.
The block, I love how the block, I still went through with it. It was the right read, but it was 10 years too late. 10 years too late.
I need a cold shower after that one. That one's so good.
That little downward motion of the blade before the block was everything to get that point for Alan.
Yep.
Hey, that's a big thing in martial arts. When to chamber, when not to chamber, how fast to chamber. Did I do the right chamber?
I remember May the 4th, way before this, you and I, Alan, were kind of like dry sparring out for fun. You caught my spinning heel kick, and you caught the chamber like a million miles away. It's so the skill is there. I'm not surprised I'm just credit where credit's due.
Believe it or not, whenever we actually do like hand-to-hand sparring, I actually prefer that to sword. The thing about that is like whenever you do hand-to-hand stuff, it's really hard to not do everything that you know.
Yep.
Because if you're fighting, or at least in my experience, if you're fighting, let's say somebody that's done kickboxing, you want to stay in their wheelhouse. You don't want to throw anything too crazy at them because now, look at your environment. Is there a place to throw them if you grapple? Is there, will they freak out if you if you put them in the sleeper? It's stuff like that. That's why I like sabers, is because it kind of gives everybody a flat, it kind of flattens that skill curve.
I love to do, I call it like match fighting, but it's basically the same idea, where if I know I'm going to spar, like just for instance, Matthew, I'll try and see what he's doing with his body, maybe try and use the same thing against him, sort of like you're saying. But again, like if I'm going up against Nick, I might want to try a little bit of that linear fencing style. If I'm going up against someone like Jason, I'm moving around in big old Filipino style, like footwork. And I just want to try and use what the person's doing against me, because that's how you start to create your own like versions of the stuff that works. Like if this is working for him, let me see if I can dip my toe in that little ocean. It's just fun for me. Like, and at that point, you stop caring if you win so much. You start caring if you're learning something every fight.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. And that's the thing, is like, if we learn with every fight that we have, then
you win.
Yeah, then you win. There's no losing. There's only learning, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
But yeah, this has been amazing. I want to do this over and over and over again. But we have to make sure we have to make sure that we've
got a lot of fights to break down. We just got to make sure we can get the right footage for it.
That's correct. And this we were just I was just happy to be able to get more than one angle on this fight.
I haven't seen the second angle at all. Like that was
there you go.
Yeah, no, that was amazing. It was cool.
It's a big help.
We have a third angle, which is the live stream, but I couldn't.
Well, I was going to say Eric and I only had one angle,
right?
And and it wasn't even the same because he was in person and I was not. So it was interesting to have those little moments where it's like, oh, that's what happened, like, because on a Zoom camera, trying to figure out who hits first in a millisecond is totally impossible.
Right.
But here it looks like 10 years, like you said.
Right.
Yeah, I've only seen the YouTube with the live stream version like a couple hundred times, I guess. But it's this is some new angles, man. It was really refreshing to see. I don't know what else happened.
Well, I'd like to do this again with the next, whenever we're free of the quarantine, we can actually do that. We'll equip a couple of other people with different angles, and maybe a month or two later, instead of a year later, you can actually break it down and see new stuff.
Excellent. Yeah.
Because I would love to do like fight breakdowns of you and Loring had a fight in one of the Penguin.
That was at your.
That was emotional.
Oh my God, we didn't get any film of that one. I'm so mad.
I haven't seen any clips of those, and I kind of don't want to because I'm not ready to cry like a man.
Man,
God, I wish I had film of that.
That was so good too. That was like a season finale.
It was. It really was.
We were freaking out on the live stream for that fight.
Yes. And I was watching it live, and I was just like, "Oh my God!"
We even had the anime moment afterwards where we kind of just sat in the corner away from any person and just like laid there. When like the both protagonists and the antagonists kind of fought each other and they're just on the ground dead for a couple minutes, like, and then they're friends. Now they're friends. Like, it's crazy. It's crazy.
I love it when you get a fight like that, but it's gonna be like that. Like sometimes, like again, May the 4th. I think it was Jason and Alan or Jason and Matthew. It was either one of you two guys, and you guys went up to fight, and Jill and I just looked at each other and we were like, oh, this is going to be a fight. And it was the best fight of the night. It was hands down the best fight of the night. And you just know it. And you're still impressed, even though you know it's coming.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's one of those things that, we'll get better at as time goes on. I'll actually harvest video faster.
Harvest. I like that.
Harvest. If
anyone got my videos in the lab.
Because everybody actually story. There's a ton of people that film it, but we can never seem to get the footage. So
yeah, that's true. That's really true.
But
hopefully
if we get them all
one
place, we'll do this.
It is. I don't want to deviate too much from the topic here, but like I recently got a camera and I've been shooting a lot of footage from SDS and a lot of great footage, a lot of great quality. So I'm hoping to bring them out to tournaments, and it kind of sucks because I'm a fighter. So it's like I want to be doing all those cool angles, and then I'm like, here, you hold this. And then
but even during practice, if you have a fight that's really good, that would be still fun to analyze like this.
Oh,
sure. I hopefully in the future when we get out of here, we'll have more and more content for the people.
For the
people. Matthew, for the people, Dominguez.
That's right. But yeah, guys. Next thing I need to ask you is like when you want to do this again, and if anybody has any other fights they want to break down.
I have all the DEs from Heatwave, so just tell me what fighters you want to see, and I'll see what I can find from them.
Yeah, I know last year's May the 4th had really good had a really good camera angle too. So
cool. We live streamed that one, right?
Yep. That was our last Steve stream, I think.
Do we have the raw footage of that somewhere?
Possibly. I can
probably on the Google Drive or something.
It might be, yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, that would be amazing. I'll see what I can find because I do have access to that Google Drive, and then
sweet.
I'll have my wife teach me how to Google Drive.
Excellent.
Technology.
I'll have my wife teach me how to Google.
Yeah, it's a thing. I told you, man. I earned my Chinese name, Low Tech.
Yep.
I'm like, ooh, does it have an edge on it? Is it a blade? No? Okay. So I hit the...
Yeah, I have no clue what I'm doing, man.
Yeah, the files are in the computer? Okay.
Can I kill someone with this?
Who is Siri? How do I save her?
Right. She's stuck in the box.
She's stuck in the box.
Oh, man.
Honey, I'm not cheating on you, I swear. She keeps calling me.
But yeah. I'm slowly starting to get better at it. We're all picking up new skills in the quarantine. This one just happens to be mine because it keeps me sane.
That's fair.
And then
that's totally fair.
I actually one of my teachers was like, "Hey, I need to learn praying mantis. Can you help me with that?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure, no problem." And I went, "Oh, I can video it." So that's what I'm working on today is northern praying mantis form. Video edit.
So cool.
Excellent. Yeah. One of my teachers studied praying mantis for a long time. He talks about it all the time. Yeah, that's cool.
It's fun. It's one of the only forms that I know of that teaches an arm break from the beginning. Not
what?
Yeah, it's the first movement is an arm break.
Really?
Okay.
The second movement is a groin shot.
Okay.
Well,
right down
only the essentials.
Only the essentials.
Right.
All you need.
The arm, strike the groin. And then the third one, believe it or not, is sweep the leg. So.
Oh, Nick, there you go.
That's it.
That's it.
Perfect.
Break the arm, destroy the groin, sweep the leg,
walk away.
Take a leak on them when they're down.
Mic drop, walk away.
Right. And that's the salute. So. It's great.
Oh, man.
Yeah. And then you start the form. It's a really fun form.
I wonder how many people survive. How many people practice the form? Like 3?
Right. Well, it's fun. It's funny because it looks like you're having a seizure when you do the form. You know, because there's like this crazy just like movement.
Oh, fun.
But that's only after the guy's like, crumpled into a heap in front of you.
When you secure the kill.
Yeah. All right, guys. This has been awesome and fun. Thank you so much for helping me do this.
Yeah.
Happy
Memorial Day, guys. Have a blast this weekend.
Yeah, as long as we
Thanks for sharing a little time with us.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
I didn't know what to expect, but I appreciate you guys bringing me along.
Oh,
it's fun. Mad fun.
I love you guys.
I'm gonna throw the all the how to get a hold of everybody on this. So if you want, you can shout it out now.
What? Shout outs?
Good.
Penguin Saber Academy on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter, and everything else. Yada yada. All right, I did mine.
Shout out to Serena and Adam, Jonathan, Eric. You don't count. You're already here. Warp Rider Games. Yeah, they don't love me at all, but I
think they meant shout out the club.
Right.
It's fine. I can edit that. I can edit it.
It's like San Diego Sabers. I love that.
There you go. Yeah, find San Diego Sabers at all those other places that we always mention on these, because I don't have them memorized yet.
San Diego Sabers.life.
Thank you. Yes,
there you go.
I definitely said that just now. That was me. I was doing my best. I was doing my best Alan impression. That was me.
It's phenomenal.
That was great, Alan expression. Damn, I can't talk. That's how you do it.
I guess you can find us.
I also said that too.
Yeah.
I guess you can still find us at starbarbecuepod.com. Not sure if our website license has expired, but Starbarbecue Podcast everywhere else.
Wherever fine meats are sold.
Trust in the force. Our website will be up soon.
It's all good. Starbarbecue Podcast.
Excellent.
All right, thanks so much, guys.
This is fun.
And
I'm cooking all day.
All good.
I haven't expected any less.
Beer and cooking on a Saturday. Oh, is that an IGC glass?
Oh, he caught it. He caught it. Oh, he caught it. Oh,
Nice.
Hey. Oh, a little Easter egg for the family. All right. Here you go. Carry on.
If you don't know, now you know.
Yep.
Yeah, but at 7 we'll do at 7 we'll do a thing. I won't be much help, but my wife will. So
all good.
Like, yes,
cool.
Website's great. That'll be my whole thing. I'll pay for it.
Once again,
Yay.
do these kill people in any way? Because I'm not sure I can handle it otherwise.
Right. So you're saying people will click on this and they'll line up for me to kill them. Yeah.
Oh, that's even better.
Yeah. That's what we're working on. All right, guys. Have a great rest of your
Thank you guys.
Saturday. I'll see some of you at 7.
Sounds
good.
Sounds
See you
good.
guys.